Okay, so here's one of the things that I think is a question that most people often have when getting into CrossFit pretty early is they walk into a gym and they notice that everyone has all this fancy equipment, they have tools for everything. What of those tools does one need and one not need? Well, I think very easily a lot of those tools can be divided into more or less two categories. The biggest one I would say is whether you have essential and then non-essential equipment. Honestly, the whole point of this YouTube video is to point out some of the biggest things that I would consider maybe essential equipment as opposed to maybe the less essential. The first thing that, at least in my bag, I would consider very essential is a good pair of, I mean, everyone will have different names for them, but they're like a Nike trainer shoe. They have a really flat base, which is good for most of the Olympic lifts. But the other thing that they have is you can run in these. So like CrossFit, most exercises, they'll maybe work in a 400-meter run or 800-meter run. With these, you can still do the 400 or do the 800 and then go straight into whatever, maybe your box jumps or your power cleans, and still have a flatter base that you may not be able to get with a tennis shoe. That's, in my book, probably the most essential and probably the first thing a person should. Second thing I think a person should get is, honestly, and these things have saved, is just a pair of grips. So one of the things that CrossFit does is a lot of barbell. It's a lot of picking up a barbell here, going over, maybe grabbing onto a pull-up bar. And one of the first things that you're gonna notice in that first few weeks is your hands are gonna get tore up. Well, CrossFit groups or whatever even make a lot of these what are known as grips. And it's wrist support along with special protection for the area that often gets most calloused. But at the same time, you're not having to sacrifice mobility by putting on a glove. On that same note, I just have some old football gloves that I used to wear, and if it's ever a workout that requires just constant grabbing onto something, a good pair of like workout gloves will do the trick. Generally speaking, I'll use those if I tear. If I ever tear the calluses here, that's good for it. A big one, a jump rope. Now, most gyms, when you go to them, will have some type of jump rope that you can use. Maybe they even provide you with your own. At least at my gym, there's plenty of old ropes, but the problem with those is that they're not the right length. With a rope that's so small like this and has the bearing inside that makes it go so quick to be able to do the double unders, it's really important to be able to have a rope that fits the proper length, because then you won't be tripping as much, it's less to work with, so it has to go around less. But overall, it's like, you'll see improvements over time. One of the other things that I have, and I wouldn't really consider these essential, but just a pair of lifters. There's so many different types of these. Nike has their own brand, Adidas has their own brand, Reebok, everyone. It's pretty common. This is essential in Olympic lifting as a sport, but CrossFit, that's not their main shtick. But at the same time, I had these before I started going to CrossFit, and they've paid off. It just gives you support, gives you a flat base, especially for squats. Even more so for like power cleans, a deep power clean, you have a flat base right from the get-go. You're not gonna wear these every time because, like I said earlier with the shoes, it's one of those things that CrossFit, often you'll do maybe 5 sets of squats and then have to go straight into running. And while yes, you can run with these, even a 200 is probably more than you should be running in your lifter. In fact, most times when I am evaluating before a workout whether I need those or not, if there's even any sort of running, often I'll not use them. Let's see, kind of even just a non-essential, I'm a big hat person. So like if I'm gonna, instead of having a sweatband, I'll wear a hat. but for a workout where maybe I'm gonna be doing a lot of sit-ups and the bill of the hat is gonna hit the ground, it'll be good to have a sweatband or one of those like bandana pullover things that go over your head. Once again, this is a non-essential, but I've found that it comes in nice, and honestly, some of them look pretty cool. Let's see, tape. I do not have the bulk of my tape in here, but honestly, especially in the beginning, you're often gonna tear, and especially if you don't have grips yet, it's pretty certain that you're gonna tear your hands while doing maybe a pull-up workout. I think I remember the first one I did was like a mini Murph, and halfway through, just the hands were done. Tape is a big one. If it's during the workout, you might just wanna wrap it around. There's all different types of way that you can wrap tape around your fingers to even give you kind of like a grip, but without the grip. So super helpful. Let's see, always have Band-Aids. Honestly, just tears or whatever. Sometimes when you're doing power clean, you'll rub the bar up against your shin, and just so you're not getting blood everywhere, it helps. Okay, let's see, the other thing I have is like a lacrosse ball. You can do a lot of things. This is for mobility. There's a laundry list of different types of things. My gym has most of them, but I wanted to get my own. But this is something that maybe you put and maybe your trap pec right here, and you roll it into a wall, just to help with mobility. That's huge. My gym uses like big PVC pipes. Any foam roller, most gyms even already have them. But super helpful for before and after workouts. This is your typical, I don't even know what the word for this would be. One of the things that I found is that my hands kept tearing. I would have so much barbell work, even with the grips, and over time my hands would tear. So one of the things that my CrossFit coach gave me, it's kind of like I think it's similar to that of something like a manicure set, but what you do is it has on I don't even know what the word would be. It's something just to try to wear down the calluses, because you want calluses when lifting, but if you can try to wear them down before they get to the point where they're tear, that will be huge, and most likely you won't tear. This is kind of a non-essential one. This is honestly, my right knee over the time is giving me a lot of trouble, so if there's ever a workout with a lot of squats or box jump, I'll put on this little, it's not like a knee brace, but it's knee compression. There's plenty of different types of knee compression out there. This is just honestly something from Walmart. It does the trick pretty well for my right knee, and even just a little bit of support that it gives, I find adds a lot of extra benefit. There's more high quality brands that you can get, some that even have joints put in them to help stabilize your knee. Those all work. It all just depends, but once again, that's kind of something that's not essential. I find if there's ever a workout, or if I ever want to program a workout where I do swimming, it helps to have goggles. Once again, you don't need them, but it's all part of the thing. So I guess in general, the big thing is that like, this isn't a very comprehensive, this is everything that you can buy. In fact, if you go into a gym, you're most likely gonna see people with different types of grips, different types of gloves, 2 different types of shoes, different lifters depending on the load, different style of ropes. There's ropes with bigger grips. So when you're training, it's better to practice with those. So then when you go into maybe a competition, it feels a lot faster. At least it tricks your brain to think it is. So it's personal preference, but really, if it separates between need and don't need, grips, shoes, and a rope, really. You don't need lifters. You don't need knee support, but they're all helpful. So as you go and as you progress in your CrossFit, whatever you want to call it, you'll slowly start to find what you need and don't need. The biggest thing is ask your coach. It's different with each gym. So some gyms may have most of this stuff and may even give it to you, which is great. Mine does a little bit of both, like jump ropes, they'll let you have. They'll have some grips that you can borrow, but not every gym's like that. But your coach definitely will know what you do and don't need. So definitely err on the side of caution and just ask them. Oftentimes they love to give you advice on that stuff anyway, so it just all goes with the trade of CrossFit. I think that's it. That's all that's in my bag right now. It's not perfect, but it does the job pretty well, so I think it works pretty well. Well, I hope this helped.